Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Santamaria, and in this video I'm going to talk about language and culture. According to the ethnologue, there are 7,102 known languages in the world. Chinese, Spanish, and English are the most used in different parts of the world. A particular language points to the culture of a particular social group. Learning a language is not only learning the alphabet, the meaning, the grammar rules, and the arrangement of the words, but it's also learning the behavior of the society and its cultural custom. Culture is defined by the values, norms, and beliefs of a society. Our culture we can be considered a lens through which we can undergo the world and develop a shared meaning of what occurs around us. Continue with the definition of culture. Culture is a reaction of human interaction. Culture is a set of knowledge and characteristic features that distinguish a society, a certain era, or a social group. Culture is the type of socially acquired knowledge. Culture, like the first language, is initially acquired without conscious awareness. The first language that is acquired through cultural transmission initially provides us with a ready system for categorizing the world around us. As language began to develop, different cultural communities put together collective understanding through sounds. Over time, uh, these sounds and their implied meanings become commonplaces and language was formed. Cultural identity is heavily dependent on a number of factors, including ethnicity, gender, geographic location, religion, language, and so much more. The categories. A category is a group with certain characteristics in common. The vocabulary that is initially learned is like a set of category labels. These are the words to refer to concepts that people in the social world have often needed to discuss. It is easy to think that there are a fixed relationship between the set of words learned and the way in which external reality is organized. However, evidence from the world's languages will suggest that the organization of external reality actually varies to some degree depending on the language used to speak it. There are conceptual distinctions that are lexicalized, that is expressed as a single word, in one language and not in another. The kinship term is the system used in languages to refer to the persons to whom an individual is related through kinship. Different societies classify kinship relations differently and therefore use different systems of kinship terminology and type concepts. Time concept is a sense of time is gained gradually during the process of living through time spans marked by events. As children's experience the world of people and things, their concept of time becomes integrated into their everyday lives as well as into their vocabularies. Linguistic relativity refers to the idea that some extent people think using categories provided by the language, in contrast to linguistic determinism. It is also known as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. The linguistic relativity proposal forms part of the general questions of how language influences through and refers to the idea that some extent people think using categories provided by their language in contrast to linguistic determinism. Linguistic determinism is a theory that differences in languages and their structures determine how people think and interact with the world around them. The category system inherent in the language determines how the speaker interprets and articulates experience. Linguistic determinism theory goes beyond recognizing the connection between language and thought. Proponents of linguistic determinism will argue that language controls how human thinks and therefore how entire cultures are structured. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, also known as the linguistic relativity hypothesis, refers to the proposal that the particular language one speaks influences the way one thinks about reality. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis states that the grammatical and more verbal structure of a person's language influence how they perceive the world. It is emphasized that language either determines or influences one's thoughts. For example, different words mean various things in other languages. Not every word in all language has an exact one-to-one translation in a foreign language. Against the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, language cannot determine thinking. The relation between linguistic forms and their reference is a matter of convention. There is no inherent or logical connection between language forms and what these language forms represent. According to the hypothesis, language have different conceptual systems. If it is true, then someone who speaks one language will be unable to learn another language because he lacks the right conceptual system. However, since people can learn radically different languages, those languages couldn't have different conceptual systems. The cognitive categories. They are the ability to classify objects, ideas, and events in an unconscious process defined as cognitive categorization. The process we use to recognize and understand things and ideas is defined as categorization or classification. Let's talk about classifiers. A classifier is a word or affix that expresses the classification of a noun. Classifiers are often used in connection with numbers to indicate the type of thing being counted. In languages that have classifiers, they are often used when the noun is being counted. That is, when it appears with a nominal classifier, sometimes have other functions too. In Chinese, they are commonly used when a noun is preceded by a demonstrative. Chinese classifiers are also commonly called measure words. The social categories. There are categories of social organization that are used to tell how people are connected to others. In 1987 publication, Wall defines social categorization as a cognitive process, adding that the subject has to solve the problem of classifying social actors, both the self and others, generally through reference to the self. He emphasized the changeability of category attributions. Some attributes, for example, those associated with social roles that are clearly identified are relatively stable, but others derive from specific interaction contexts. The address terms. Addressing terms is one of the important communication tools used in society. The speakers use addressing terms to call the person involved in the conversation. Kinds of basic rules of addressing terms are social, class, age, sex, profession, marital status, polygynous, and other related aspects. The use of addressing term depends on the addresser and addresser's relationship, the social status or individual involved in the conversation, the situation and purpose of the conversation. And finally, we have gender. In sociolinguistic and other social science, gender refers to the sexual identity in relation to culture and society. The ways in which words are used can both reflect and reinforce social attitudes toward gender. Social gender is a distinction between individuals in terms of their social roles as women and men, in contrast to other type of gender. Gender language consists of words and phrases that describe gender-based attributes or feature an inclination to one sex. While some languages are notable for gender nouns or even objects, others are grammatically genderless. However, virtually all have some cultural or practical gender aspects. Thanks for watching.